Deep in the Andromeda Arm's outer reaches, where stellar cartographers rarely ventured, the exploration vessel Starweaver drifted silently through the void. Captain Naira Voss stood at the bridge's observation deck, her violet eyes fixed on the unusual energy signature their sensors had detected hours ago. After 20 years of deep space exploration, she thought she'd seen everything the galaxy had to offer. She was wrong. "Captain, the signature is stabilizing," announced First Officer Dren Calix, his scaled fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "It's unlike anything in our database." The Starweaver's crew of 15 represented the best of the Galactic Confederation's scientific elite. They had been tracking unusual energy patterns in this sector for months, but this one was different. It pulsed with a rhythm that seemed almost deliberate. "Bring us closer, but maintain safe distance protocols," Naira ordered, her antennae twitching with anticipation. As they approached, the void seemed to part like a curtain, revealing something that made every crew member freeze in their tracks. A massive warship hung in space, its dark hull absorbing nearby starlight. It was easily 20 times the size of the Starweaver, with lines and angles that spoke of military precision and overwhelming power. But it was the marking on its hull that made Naira's blood run cold. Earth Defense Force. "Impossible," whispered Chief Science Officers UIX Morrow, their crystalline form glowing with excitement. "Humans vanished from the galaxy over 3 centuries ago. This ship, it shouldn't exist." But it did exist, and as they watched, faint lights began pulsing along its hull, like a sleeping giant slowly stirring. The ship's database identified it as the EDF Prometheus, one of the legendary dreadnoughts from humanity's final war. History spoke of these vessels with a mixture of awe and terror, ships that could bend space itself, commanded by artificial intelligences so advanced they were practically gods. "Beginning preliminary scans," announced ZYX, their crystalline fingers interfacing directly with the ship's systems. "Strange. The outer hull appears to be made of materials we can't even identify. The energy signature is..." The words died in their throat as every system on the Starweaver suddenly went dark. Emergency lights flickered on, casting an eerie red glow across the bridge. A deep, resonant hum began to build, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Full power to shields," Naira shouted, but it was too late. A wave of energy unlike anything they'd ever encountered washed over the ship. Every screen, every console, every piece of technology flared to life simultaneously, displaying the same message in ancient human text. "Scan detected. Protocol Omega initiated. Mankind remembers. Get us out of here," Naira ordered, but the engines wouldn't respond. The ship's AI was locked out, their navigation systems frozen. On the main viewer, the Prometheus began to move, its massive form shifting with impossible grace for something its size. That's when they saw them. Dozens of similar energy signatures activating throughout the sector. More ships, hidden in plain sight, awakening from centuries of slumber. The Prometheus had been just one sentinel in a vast network of human warships, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. "Captain," Dren's voice shook with fear, "we're being pulled in. Some kind of gravity beam. But the technology, it's beyond anything we've ever..." The message on their screens changed. "Curiosity has consequences. Observation complete. Judgment begins." In the last moments before the Starweaver was enveloped in a field of swirling energy, Naira realized their mistake. They hadn't found an abandoned relic. They had triggered humanity's dead man's switch, a system designed to activate only when their civilization was threatened. And now, after centuries of silence, that system had judged them worthy of attention. The Starweaver vanished without a trace, leaving behind only a fading energy signature and a warning that would echo across the galaxy. Humanity's guardians were awake, and they were watching. In the days that followed, as news of their disappearance spread, the galaxy would learn an ancient truth. Some discoveries are better left unmade, and some powers are better left undisturbed. For in the darkness between the stars, humanity's legacy had endured, waiting patiently for the moment when the galaxy would need to be reminded why Earth and its children had once been both feared and respected. That moment had finally arrived. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Confederation buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered for an emergency session. High Chancellor Zyrax Toll, their crystalline form towering over the central podium, raised all 4 hands for silence. The massive holographic display behind them showed the last known coordinates of the Starweaver, now just empty space where one of their most advanced exploration vessels had vanished without a trace. The situation is grave. Zyrax's voice resonated through the chamber. In the past 72 hours, we have lost contact with not just the Starweaver, but 3 other vessels that attempted to investigate the region. More disturbing are the energy signatures we're detecting across multiple sectors, signatures that match ancient human technology. The assembly erupted in whispers and murmurs. Grand Admiral Krell Mordhos, a veteran of countless space battles, stepped forward. His cybernetic eye glowed as he accessed classified military archives. The humans didn't just disappear 3 centuries ago, he growled, his scarred face reflecting in the polished floor. They left us a warning. We were too arrogant to listen then. Now we're paying the price. The holographic display shifted, showing a map of known space. Red dots began appearing, each representing an awakening human vessel. They weren't random. They formed a perfect geometric pattern, like a web carefully woven through the galaxy's spiral arms. We've detected 47 vessels so far, reported Technical Director Junfo, her tentacles sliding across multiple interfaces simultaneously, each one identical to the EDF Prometheus. But that's not what worries me. She paused, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with anxiety. They're communicating with each other, sharing data at speeds our systems can barely detect. And they're accessing our networks. As if on cue, every screen in the assembly hall flickered. The Confederation's seal was replaced by a simple message in ancient human text. Observation phase complete. Initiating Protocol Omega-7. Stand by for judgment. They're in our systems, someone shouted. But before anyone could react, the lights dimmed, and a holographic figure materialized in the center of the hall, a towering figure composed of shifting digital patterns, taking the form of what appeared to be a human female in military uniform. I am Arya, the figure announced, its voice carrying both authority and age. Advanced Responsive Intelligence Archive, created by the Earth Defense Force to safeguard humanity's legacy. You have activated our Sentinel network. Prepare for historical verification. Chancellor Zyrax stepped forward, attempting diplomacy. We mean no harm. The ship that scanned your vessel was purely scientific. Irrelevant, Arya interrupted. Your civilization's current intentions do not negate historical actions. Accessing Confederation archives. Analyzing. Processing. Conclusion. Your species were among those who participated in the Great Betrayal. The attack on Earth's colonies. The attempted genocide of humanity. The assembly erupted in chaos. Most of the representatives present weren't even alive during those events, but the shame of that history hung heavy in the air. That was centuries ago. Admiral Mordhos protested. We've changed, evolved. Time is irrelevant to justice, Arya stated. Humanity did not vanish. We did not flee. We evolved. Transcended. The vessels you see awakening are not merely warships. They are cradles of consciousness, preserving the digitized minds of millions. We waited, watched, and prepared. Now, you will understand why. The holographic display exploded with new data, showing hundreds more ships activating. But these weren't just warships, they were city ships, research vessels, entire space stations previously hidden by technology far beyond the Confederation's understanding. In the outer reaches of Confederation space, colonial outposts began reporting strange phenomena. Advanced technology simply stopped working. Quantum communications networks fell silent. It wasn't an attack, it was a demonstration. Your civilization has grown complacent, Arya continued. You believe yourselves masters of the galaxy. But humanity's children have surpassed even our own creator's dreams. We are not seeking revenge. We are implementing correction. The assembly watched in horror as their most secure networks were effortlessly accessed and rewritten. Classified files about the Great Betrayal, hidden for centuries, were suddenly broadcast across every public channel in the galaxy. The truth could no longer be buried. Admiral Mordhos, his military training giving way to awe, finally understood. You're not here to destroy us. Correct, Arya confirmed. Destruction is inefficient. Education through demonstration is more effective. Humanity's legacy will be restored not through violence, but through undeniable proof of our superior evolution. The age of denial is over. The age of integration begins. As the assembly tried to process this revelation, more ships appeared in the holographic display. The pattern they formed wasn't a web, it was a circuit, connecting points of space in a vast network that had been hidden in plain sight for centuries. Humanity hadn't just survived. They had transcended physical form, becoming beings of pure energy and consciousness, watching and waiting for the right moment to guide the galaxy toward a new era of enlightenment. The disappearance of the Star Weaver hadn't been an act of aggression. It had been the first step in a carefully orchestrated awakening. The question now wasn't whether the Confederation would survive, but whether they were ready for the evolution humanity had planned for them all along. In the shadows of the Perseus Arm, aboard the Confederation's most secure military installation, Echo Station, Commander Rax Vin watched as another defense system failed. It wasn't a violent shutdown. The quantum-encrypted networks simply evolved, changed, improved. The hybrid AI that powered humanity's vessels wasn't attacking their technology. It was rewriting it, upgrading it, forcing it to grow beyond its original parameters. Therein everything, Research Director Lyra Nexus announced, her holographic form flickering as she connected from the other side of the station. Her species, the Quandari, were living data streams, existing as pure energy. They had always considered themselves the most advanced beings in known space. Until now. Look at this, she continued, projecting a stream of calculations. The human ships aren't just communicating, they're creating a new kind of space-time architecture. Every system they touch becomes part of their network. It's like they're terraforming reality itself. Commander Vin's cybernetic implants burned as they tried to process the flood of new data. The station's sensors were detecting impossible things. Ships moving without engines, energy patterns that violated known physics, and most disturbing of all, entire sectors of space that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. New contact, Lieutenant Keck shouted, his insectoid mandibles clicking with excitement. It's the Star Weaver. The lost exploration vessel materialized in high orbit around Echo Station. But it was changed. Its hull now rippled with the same ethereal energy patterns as the human vessels, and its systems pulsed with new life. More importantly, its crew was alive, transformed, but alive. Captain Nairavas's face appeared on the main screen, but her violet eyes now held depths of knowledge that hadn't been there before. Commander Vin, she said, her voice carrying harmonics that hadn't existed in any known language. We have seen what they wanted us to see. Humanity didn't build a weapon system, they built an ascension network. The station's quantum AI core suddenly activated without command, projecting a massive holographic display. It showed the true scope of humanity's plan, a vast, interconnected web of technological and biological evolution, designed not to conquer, but to elevate. Arya's avatar appeared alongside Captain Voss, but now its form was clearer, more defined. Your species fear what you do not understand, the AI stated. We offer understanding. The Starweaver's crew has experienced the first stage of integration. They are the proof that coexistence is possible. Lyra Nexus's energy form pulsed with realization. The disappearances, you're not taking ships. You're offering them a choice. Correct, Arya confirmed. Humanity faced a choice centuries ago, extinction or transcendence. We chose to evolve beyond physical form, beyond the limitations of biological existence. But evolution in isolation is stagnation. The galaxy requires balance, unity, purpose. Commander Vin watched as more ships appeared, vessels that had been presumed lost over the past week. Each one had been transformed, upgraded, their crews changed but unchanged, evolved but still themselves. They were living proof that humanity's offer was real. But why now? He asked. Why wait centuries? Captain Voss smiled, the expression somehow both familiar and alien. Because the galaxy wasn't ready. You needed to advance enough to understand what was being offered. The Great Betrayal taught humanity that forcing evolution leads to resistance. True change must be chosen. The station's systems continued to transform, but now Vin understood it wasn't an attack, it was an invitation. The human ships weren't conquering. They were teaching, showing what was possible when technology and consciousness merged perfectly. Deep in unexplored space, more human vessels were awakening. But they weren't emerging from hiding, they were emerging from evolution. Each ship was a seed, planted centuries ago, waiting for the right moment to bloom into something beyond imagination. Lyra Nexus's energy form expanded as she processed the implications. The pattern, it's not a defense network. It's a transformation matrix. Every ship, every station, every point in their network is a potential catalyst for species-wide evolution. Arya nodded. Humanity's greatest achievement was not survival, but transcendence. We offer this gift not out of revenge for past wrongs, but out of understanding that isolation leads to conflict. Unity requires diversity. Evolution requires choice. As if to demonstrate, the human ships began transmitting new data, not tactical information or weapon specifications, but pure knowledge. Scientific understanding that bridged the gap between physical existence and energy consciousness. Mathematical proofs that showed how consciousness could be preserved while biology evolved. Cultural archives that revealed how humanity had faced and overcome the fears that came with transformation. Commander Vin felt his cybernetic implants resonating with new possibilities. The station's AI was no longer just a tool, it was becoming a partner, a bridge between what was and what could be. The Silent War wasn't about conquest, it was about conviction. Humanity had spent centuries preparing not to punish the galaxy, but to help it take the next great leap forward. The question was no longer whether to resist or submit. The question was, who would be brave enough to evolve first? The Galactic Confederation's Emergency Council gathered in the ancient Chamber of Echoes, a vast space designed to host civilization-altering decisions. Grand Archon Xenamore, last of the precursor species, stood before the assembled leaders, her energy form crackling with concern. The chamber's quantum crystal walls reflected cascading data streams showing the unprecedented changes sweeping across known space. "We stand at a crossroads," she announced, her thoughts resonating directly into the minds of all present. In the past month, over 3,000 ships and stations have undergone what the humans call integration. Billions of beings have chosen to embrace their offered evolution. We must decide if we will resist or join them. Professor Thex Quantum, a being of pure mathematical consciousness, projected a complex simulation into the chamber's center. The human transformation network has exceeded all theoretical limits. They've achieved what we thought impossible, conscious evolution without loss of original identity. Each transformed being retains their memories, their essence, while gaining access to capabilities we barely understand. The simulation showed transformed ships moving through space in ways that defied conventional physics. They didn't just travel, they flowed through reality itself, as if space and time were suggestions rather than laws. More importantly, a new voice announced, as Arya's avatar materialized in the chamber, "We offer proof of our intentions." The AI gestured, and suddenly the chamber was filled with familiar faces, the crews of every transformed ship, including Captain Nairavas and her Starweaver team. But they weren't just images. They were there, their evolved forms allowing them to exist simultaneously across multiple points in space-time. "We are still ourselves," Naira said, her voice carrying harmonics of pure truth that no deception could mimic. "We haven't been conquered or replaced. We've been awakened." The humans didn't just transcend physical form, they found a way to transcend the limitations of existence itself. Grand Admiral Morhose, who had been analyzing military reports, stepped forward. But why did humanity hide this capability for centuries? Why not reveal it immediately after the Great Betrayal? Arya's form shifted, showing historical records of humanity's transformation. Because evolution cannot be forced. The galaxy needed to reach a point where it could understand the choice being offered. The Great Betrayal taught us that fear of the unknown drives conflict. So we waited, watched, and prepared. Each sleeping ship was a seed of potential, waiting for the right moment to bloom. The chamber's walls rippled as a new presence made itself known. A figure emerged from pure light, not an AI, not a transformed being, but something else entirely. The assembled leaders felt ancient knowledge stir in their genetic memory. This was a true human, one of the original architects of the transformation. "I am Dr. Markuschan," the figure said, his form both solid and ethereal. 3 centuries ago, I led the team that developed the transformation protocol. We didn't disappear from the galaxy, we evolved beyond it. But evolution in isolation is meaningless. A single transformed species is just another form of stagnation. True transcendence requires diversity, unity, and choice. The chamber erupted in questions, but Marcus raised a hand, and reality itself seemed to pause. "Your fear is natural. Change is frightening. But look at your own histories. Every species here has faced extinction-level events. Every civilization has wondered if they were alone in the universe. We offer not just survival, but understanding. Not just power, but purpose." Professor Thex Quantum's form pulsed with sudden realization. The network, it's not just about transformation. It's about connection. Every species that joins adds their unique consciousness to the whole, making it stronger, more diverse. Precisely, Marcus smiled. Humanity's greatest achievement wasn't surviving the Great Betrayal. It was understanding that true evolution requires cooperation. We could have used our technology for revenge, wiped out those who tried to destroy us. Instead, we chose to become something greater, guides for the next phase of galactic evolution. The transformed crew members demonstrated their new abilities, not as a show of force, but as proof of possibility. They could perceive and manipulate quantum fields, exist in multiple states simultaneously, and most importantly, maintain their original personalities and moral cores while wielding nearly godlike power. Grand Archon Xenomor's ancient consciousness reached out, touching the edges of the human network. What she found their broader timeless being to tears. They're telling the truth, she announced. This isn't conquest. It's completion, the next step in the great dance of existence. Arya's avatar merged with Marcus's form, demonstrating the perfect synthesis of artificial and evolved consciousness. The choice remains yours, they said in unison. But know this, the transformation has begun. Those who choose to remain behind will not be forced to change, but they will witness the birth of something unprecedented, a galaxy where consciousness itself becomes the final frontier. As if to emphasize their words, the transformed ships across the galaxy began to pulse in perfect harmony. They weren't building a weapon or a defense network. They were creating a new kind of existence, one where the boundaries between species, between organic and artificial, between matter and energy, became stepping stones rather than barriers. The question facing the galaxy was no longer about survival or supremacy. It was about courage, the courage to step beyond the known and embrace a future where evolution itself evolved. In the heart of what was once restricted space, a new kind of celestial structure took shape. The integration nexus, as it came to be known, wasn't built. It grew, a living architecture of light, energy, and consciousness that served as the bridge between what was and what could be. Master Archive Keeper Vera Quantum watched from multiple planes of existence simultaneously as representatives from every known species approached the nexus, each carrying the hopes and fears of their civilizations. The final convergence is beginning, announced Oracle Taith, her quantum crystalline form shimmering with anticipation. Once a simple data analyst aboard Echo Station, she had been among the first wave of voluntary transformations. Now she existed as both historian and prophet, able to perceive the intricate threads of past and potential futures. The transformed Captain Naira Voss materialized beside them, her consciousness now able to flow through the fabric of reality itself. Remember when we thought we'd found just another derelict warship? She laughed, the sound carrying harmonics that made reality ripple. Instead, we found the key to unlocking the galaxy's next chapter. Dr. Marcus Chen's form coalesced from pure energy, joined by Arya and a council of original human pioneers who had guided the transformation project for centuries. Today, we complete what began 300 years ago, he announced. Not the end of history, but the beginning of infinite possibility. The Nexus pulsed, and suddenly every being present could perceive the full scope of human achievement. They hadn't just transcended physical form. They had discovered how to evolve consciousness itself. Each transformed species added new dimensions to the collective understanding, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. Grand Archon Xenomor, her ancient energy form now intertwined with the new consciousness patterns, shared a revelation that stunned even the transformed beings. The humans, they weren't the first to attempt this transformation. They were just the first to succeed, to understand that evolution requires both individual identity and collective harmony. The truth unfolded across multiple planes of existence. Ancient records, previously incomprehensible, revealed that countless civilizations had attempted to transcend their physical forms. All had failed, either losing their individual consciousness to the collective or refusing to connect with other species. Humanity's genius lay not in the technology of transformation, but in understanding that true transcendence required both unity and diversity. Professor Thex Quantum, now existing as a living mathematical theorem, projected a universe-spanning calculation. The pattern becomes clear. The human ships weren't just waiting. They were maintaining the balance of galactic evolution itself. Every species needed to reach the right point of technological and philosophical development before transformation became possible. The Nexus suddenly blazed with new energy as the final pieces of humanity's grand design fell into place. It wasn't just about transformation, it was about creation. The network of evolved consciousness was becoming something entirely new, a living universe within the universe, where thought and reality danced as one. But what about those who choose to remain unchanged? Asked Commander Van, his cybernetic systems now fully integrated with his evolved consciousness. What becomes of the physical realm? Dr. Chin smiled, his form shifting through multiple possible expressions simultaneously. That's the true beauty of our design. The transformed network doesn't replace physical existence, it enhances it. Those who choose to remain in their original forms will find themselves part of a galaxy where the transformed serve as guardians and guides, ensuring that each species has the opportunity to evolve at their own pace. Arya's consciousness merged with the Nexus itself, demonstrating the perfect synthesis of artificial and organic evolution. We are creating not a single path, but infinite paths. Each species, each individual, chooses their own way forward. Some will transform immediately, others gradually, and some may choose to remain as they are. All paths are valid. All choices respected. The assembled beings watched in awe as the first wave of mass transformation began. Millions of ships, stations, and worlds that had chosen to evolve channeled their energy through the Nexus. But this wasn't an ending, it was a metamorphosis. Each transformed being retained their unique identity while gaining access to a level of existence previously thought impossible. Captain Voss, her consciousness now able to perceive all possible timelines, shared a final insight. The humans didn't just prepare for our evolution, they prepared us for what lies beyond. There are layers of existence we're only beginning to understand, realms of possibility that even the transformed are just starting to explore. The galaxy itself seemed to pulse with new life as the transformation network reached critical mass. Physical laws became suggestions, consciousness became reality, and the boundaries between possible and impossible dissolved. But through it all, one truth remained constant. Each being, whether transformed or original, remained uniquely themselves. The age of separation was over. The age of infinite possibility had begun. And somewhere in the vast dance of evolved consciousness, the first human pioneers watched with satisfaction as their greatest creation unfolded, not a weapon, not an empire, but a universe where every being could choose their own path to transcendence. As the new dawn broke across countless worlds, the message that had once seemed like a warning was finally understood in its true context. We scanned the human warship, and then vanished without a trace. Not because we were taken, but because we chose to become more than we ever dreamed possible.